process here at the Independent is made up of 4 colors. The pages are designed, they're sent to us, and once they're sent to us, we have to take the pages that are given to us and bust them down into printing plates we put on the press. The press runs off of 4 colors, CMYK, which is red, yellow, blue, and black. With the 4 colors we have, we take them, turn them into a series of dots to put together. We can print any color under the rainbow. Okay, this shows you the dots that it takes to make each individual pictures. We add every color to the page. It will slowly change into a 4-color picture. As you can see in these pictures, you can see all the little dots. When the human eye can't see them, but as they're printed together, you'll see all 4 colors through the naked eye. Last night's paper was sent to us, and we take the pages as they're sent to us. We go through and we are able to look at all the pages to verify that everything's right, the date lines are right, look for spelling errors, any add errors, anything like that. Then once we get the pages, I can go through and select plates and tell them I want to print. Our machine back here is a computer-to-plate system. Back in the old days, we used to shoot everything from paper and then send it to film, and then we'd send it to a plate, and we'd send it to the press. Now, I get it all digitally, and I can send it straight from here to my imager over here, which has metal sheets in it, and it has laser on it that will actually print on the metal sheet to give me a metal plate. This is a printing plate for the press. As you can see on the plate here, anything that is blue is kind of like a synthetic rubber. And the press works off the theory that water and oil don't mix. Well, water will repel off the blue because it's like a synthetic rubber, but the water will stick any place that's gray. So we just have to figure out the combination of the water and ink mixture to keep the paper looking decent. On every plate, there's 3 little dots on each corner of a color page, and every color plate has a single dot on every corner. We use that to help us line up the color to make sure that the pictures come all out in registration. Once we get a plate, we have to bring it over and we put it in the machine. That crimps the ends of the plate so we can put it on a round cylinder. So now we have a crimped plate that we can put on a round cylinder. Every plate has notches pre-punched into it to let us help with registration. So when we put this plate on the press, we're hoping that all 4 plates exactly match the same spot on the press, so we get the same registration all the way through. You get a picture of somebody's face in the paper and something's out of registration. Their eyebrows might be down around their cheeks. Their lips might be up around their forehead, so anything we can use to help us keep registration right is a bonus. Everything we use at the Independent and everything we do at the Independent is either environmentally friendly or recyclable. Here in the center of the press, the center roll here, is what we call a rewind. And what a rewind does is we take all the little butts of paper and we unwind them when we're done with the run and put them back on a single roll of paper to make big rolls, and we'll turn around and run that paper through the press so we're not throwing product away. Each roll of paper weighs about 800 to 900 pounds. A roll of paper, if you would start at Fauner Park, will go from Fauner Park out to Interstate 80, down Interstate 80 to 281, and back to Bosselman's before you run out of paper. It takes about an average of 7 trees to make 1 roll of paper. Most of our paper anymore is about 100% recycled, and the reason is because we're trying to be environmentally friendly. Any waste paper we have, we save. We sell it to people that make cellulose insulation. Some of it goes back to the paper mill to be recycled for more newsprint. Some of it goes to asphalt companies and they grind it up and use it for fiber and asphalt roads. So everything we use is recycled here. Even our printing plates, when we're done with the printing plates, we save them. A guy comes and buys us from us. They turn around, smell them back down, and turn back into printing plates. So everything we use here is environmentally friendly. We try to leave a small footprint. Our ink is soy-based ink. So it's environmentally friendly, and it's about the consistency of pudding. On an average day on black ink, we'll use about 3 gallons per ink fountain. And for the run I got to do this morning, I've got 4 fountains. So I'll use approximately 1.5 buckets of ink this morning just for the one run. Down here on the bottom, this roll of paper here will be for the run I'm doing this morning. As it comes through, it'll make a S-wrap over here, and paper is very strong, but it's also like a rubber band. When we start up the press and we got water in the press, the paper will actually give. So as we start to print, the paper stretches out, and until we hit a consistent speed, we're constantly having to change registration to keep everything in registration. Once we hit a constant speed, the paper will stay solid, and when print, we can keep good quality registration through the run. So as the paper comes through, it'll come under, it comes up underneath this unit here. Over here, we'll hit the blue. It'll come up and it'll go to the red. Comes back down, and I pick up the yellow, and I'll pick up the black. It's called offset printing because right now you could read the image on the plate. Inside the unit is a rubber blanket. So the image will go from right reading to wrong reading, and once the paper comes through, it'll go back to right reading. So it'd be just like if you see a void stamp from the bank or something like that. So this is right, this is wrong, and when it hits the paper, it switches it back to right. So that's how it got its name, offset printing. As we come through the press, it'll come down to the folder. The folder is kind of the heartbeat of the press. With the folder, I can print a 1-section paper, a 2-section paper, or a 4-section paper. All by just changing one gear inside the folder. If I'm using a 1-section or 2-section, it comes out the bottom. If I'm using a 4-section paper, 2 sections come out of the bottom and 2 sections come out of the top. We run about 24,000 an hour on run speed for the paper. As the paper's coming through the press, the triangle here is what puts the center crease in the paper. Then as it comes through, if you've ever noticed, you pick up the bottom of a paper, there's going to be little pinholes in the bottom of the paper. The pinholes are used to pull the paper through the folder, and then there's a tucker blade that hits it, puts the center fold in it, pulls it through, and you get a newspaper. We use approximately 60 rolls of newsprint a week right now. I print everything from the Kansas-Nebraska border, from Hebron, Geneva, clear up to Ord, Burwell, Sargent, as far east as Central City, and as far west as Mendon. Sometimes I'm North Platte's backup, I'm Kearney's backup. We also print 2 dailies here, which is York News Times and the Grand Island Independent. I do 2 bi-weekly newspapers here in Grand Island. I also do the Hispanic newspaper here in Grand Island. So there's a lot of product that goes to the Independent other than just the Independent. The Independent comes off every night. York comes off every night. All day during the day we're doing weekly newspapers around the state of Nebraska. One good thing to know about this press, it's 47 years old. As long as we keep oil in it, keep putting rollers in it, it keeps running. So it's old iron, but it still keeps up with today's technologies and today's quality standards. Okay, this is my red, yellow, and blue ink. We get it in by the tote. We hydraulically pump it into buckets. We take it to the buckets, we take them out on the press, and we actually take an ink knife or a giant putty knife and we scrape it into a fountain. As you can see, it's like pudding. It's very thick. So it's not like your printer ink or nothing like that. It's a very, very thick product. When the press starts up, it'll heat up, it'll actually break down, get a little more liquidy. Then as the press cools down, the ink will stiffen back up so we can work with it. This here is my black ink. It comes in via semi-tanker. We fill this tank once a year now with black ink. Okay, once I get done printing the papers will come down the conveyor belt here onto the table. When they get over to the table, there'll be somebody over here that will actually stack up the papers and they'll put them on a cart. Once we get the papers all stacked up, it's time to put in inserts. They'll bring the inserts over here and put them in this hopper loader, which will come into this machine right here. When we start this machine up, it will literally grab one paper, throw the paper down into a hopper, and it'll cut the paper in every one of the hoppers that is coming around. This machine can put 13 inserts into one newspaper. So every night there'll be one or two people on every one of these heads here, and we can see, like I said, 13 inserts into one newspaper. So as the paper comes by, there's a sensor and it'll throw, each one of these will throw one insert into each hopper. So there's 72 hoppers inside this machine. It'll come around, it'll get to here, it'll drop it into a conveyor belt, it'll come up, it'll go around, and it'll land over here in the stackers. We can zone inserts, so if there's a Menards going to Hastings but it isn't going to Grand Island, the machine will run as many papers as Hastings needs and it'll cut the Menards insert off. The machine also knows if there's two products getting dropped into the paper instead of one, and it'll actually reject the paper into the reject bin over here and won't send it out. Same thing, and it knows that, oh, the machine skipped an insert. It's got a sensor on there that says, oh, I skipped, so it'll send that paper back around and it'll let it repair that paper before it gets sent out. The papers either come out this stacker or this stacker over here. The computer knows every night how many papers that each carrier is getting. So the machine will actually clear out the machine at the end of, like say, Jane Smith's run. They'll clear out the papers and get ready for the next zone that the paper's got to go in. So as they come out here, they will come over, they'll drop. There's an electronic counter in here. It'll go out, we'll verify the weight, the count. It'll go down a conveyor belt and it'll get strapped, sent out the door, and then they'll take it out to the carriers. Our weeklies and our daily both have papers that have to be mailed. So we'll label the papers for them, we'll put them in the mail bags, and we'll get them ready to ship out. We print probably about 1,700 mail copies a night for the Independent, and we can put the papers in here, the mail labels are over there, and it'll put one mail label on a paper and feed them all through so we don't have to do nothing by hand anymore. Over here, the stacks of newsprint, that's waste papers, waste copies, people's papers they brought back in for us to recycle. That'll all go back to either the cellulose companies, the asphalt companies, back to the paper mills. We've got our plates over here that we recycle that'll get sent back. Our insert storage. Everything comes in about a week before we need to use it, so we got to make sure it's on hand.